Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bills series in Madden 2002, in episode number 3. Getting underway with even more games now. We are getting into the next, to week 3 and 4 of our regular season, our first season at the helm of the Bills. And in the last video, we had a pair of playoff teams from last season for our first couple games of the year. And this video is going to be no different, as we have the Colts, who lost in the wildcard round last season after a 10-6 campaign with their new hotshot quarterback Peyton Manning, but there's some important things to note about Mr. Manning in this game. And then later on in the video, we have the Steelers, who did not make it to the playoffs, but did have a winning record last season. So two difficult teams once again here. The schedule's not getting any easier in this first stretch of the season, not getting any easier, but we do have some interesting things to note here about the Colts' quarterbacking situation. Their quarterback depth chart has been taxed so far in the first couple games this season, and Peyton Manning is out with a significant injury for most of the season. Now, it says knee cartilage tear, which I would assume just to mean that he tore his ACL or MCL, but it says he's going to come back this season, which I don't believe, but he is going to come back and play eventually. But their backup quarterback, Billy Joe Hobart, who has been in relief for Peyton Manning so far this season, is also nursing a knee injury. He has an ACL sprain that he's playing through, and so we might see him, and we might see the third-string quarterback, Roderick Robinson, from Arkansas Pine Bluff, who might start for the Colts. So we'll just keep an eye on that, but Trent Dilfer and the boys are already getting things started here with Sammy Morris getting a pass out of the backfield and cutting upfield and turning it into much more than just a simple check down here out of the flat. So Trent Dilfer moving the boys here, and Trent Dilfer has not had the greatest start to the season already. His stats coming into this game are really lackluster. The completion percentage is around 50%, which is really not great. Only 300 yards and just a single receiving touchdown to Dilfer's name so far at the helm of this Bills team. So we need to see a little bit more from Mr. Dilfer as we continue, but that is a great way to start this game against a high-powered opponent. But on 2nd and 12 here, Dilfer back to pass once again, gets rid of it in time, throws it up the seam here, and it looks like Remersma, the tight end, who came down with it, and that's going to be another nice gain and pickup as he fist bumps nobody. There's nobody there. But now it's going to be 1st and goal inside the 10. We're going to hand this one off to Morris once again, who's going to get into the end zone, but there's a hanky on the field, and it is because Joe Fina here grabbed a little bit too much of the jersey, and so that's going to send us back here, wipe away the touchdown, and we're going to be heading the opposite direction. So we start building up the momentum, and then stupid penalties like that are going to kill a lot of it for this drive. So on 3rd and goal now, the Colts having no problem keeping us out of the end zone now with the distance between us, but Dilfer able to float this one to the back of the end zone, but whoever that receiver was could not bring it down to the ground, and it looks like it was McDaniel. McDaniel could not keep it in his hands as he drops it on the way down to the ground. So on 4th and goal, bring out Christie to try another field goal attempt. He's been pretty great so far this season, and he's going to continue that reign with his leg as he gets us up by 3 points here to start this drive. Eat up a lot of time off the clock here, so controlling the game on the ground here and playing keep away is a way to do it. But now deep in our own end on a 3rd and 8, the Colts give it back to us here, and now Dilfer trying to do something with it, dumps it off to the right side here. McDaniel able to get past the one defender. Now it's a foot race, and there's nobody else behind here. It was just one-on-one man coverage here. McDaniel's got the speed, and he's in the end zone, and that's going to be an 80 or 90-yard touchdown pass. Unbelievable, man. So 3rd down, backed up essentially to our own goal line, and McDaniel able to control that ball along the sideline and just get away from the defender. And this happens a lot in Madden 02. It's the animation-based stuff that they do in these games. You'll have the DB just completely overrun the play, or just, make an animation trying to pick the ball off, and then it'll take him completely out of the play. But we will happily take that as we take a 10-0 lead over these Colts, who are having problems on offense with injuries. Now they have another injury to be concerned about as one of their defenders, Chakota, gets injured on that play here to Sammy Morris, who again is just continuing to eat up yards, now through the air. Not so much on the ground, but through the air. And Dilfer continues to go through the air here, and he finds Eric Moulds between two defenders. Somebody's going to come down with that, and Jay Moore's he's not happy about that. Coach Moore's really not happy about that one at all, and I wouldn't be either. But with the quarterback issues the Colts are having here, it's a little bit shocking, or I guess rather not so shocking, that they are struggling to keep up here, but their defense should certainly be able to contain our offense, and they have not been able to do so far in this first quarter. And on 1st and goal, we're going to pitch it out to Morris, who's got no problem getting to the outside edge and getting into the end zone for what's going to be his 4th touchdown of the season. It should have been his 2nd of this game, but remember, we had, of course, the holding call that wiped off his first one, but he is finally going to get one in this game, and now, before our very eyes, it is now a 3-score game here over the Colts after just one 1 quarter of play. So the Colts find themselves in quite the deficit here, and we are looking for our first win. So could it happen on the road in Indy? Let's just keep watching, keep focusing. So on a 2nd and 10, we're going to get off to Morris again, who finds an open hole on the left side of the field, and he's going to get gobbled up pretty heavily by, I believe, one of the safeties, but not before picking up a huge gain on the ground. And even in this game, he's averaging over 8 yards a carry. It's something he's been consistently doing in every game so far this season, even against the Dolphins, in which we kind of struggled to score points last week. He was still very effective for this offense. Now, Dilfer trying to show that he is also equally as effective as he hits, I believe, McDaniel. I think it was an 86. It was either an 86 or an 80. They all blend together on my tiny screen. But either way, it's a huge receiving pickup here for Dilfer. And there you see that passing breakdown. I mean, we were just completely feasting on the Colts secondary. Their defense just seems to have a lot of questions right now early in the season that they don't have a ton of answers for right now, as McDaniel's able to get a huge pickup for this Bills offense through the air. So 3rd and goal now. The Colts defense is trying to show some resilience in the red zone, and they do come up strong once again, forcing at the very least, a field goal attempt, but maybe even a 4th down attempt. But we know that the AI is not that risky, so we're going to take our points here and go up 20-0 if we can over the Colts, and that kick is good. So we do continue to add on to our lead here, but the Colts defense showing a little bit of strength there with their backs against the wall for the 2nd time this game. But on the ensuing kickoff now, Chrissy's going to boot this one away to the Colts special teams unit, awaiting for their chance to get back into this game. But it's going to be a fumble on the ground. There's nothing but Bills in the vicinity. It's going to get scooped, and it's going to go into the end zone for a score, ladies and germs. That is going to be a touchdown. A scoop and score on the kickoff return. That's going to be one of our backup linebackers who plays on special teams, and he's able to scoop that one up. And now this game is completely busted wide open as we take a 27-0 lead here. Now late in the first half, back on offense once again. And Dilfer continuing to move the Bills' offense forward a little bit here. He's completely flipped the script on his start to the season so far with just this game alone in Indy, man. It's been a complete tale of two sides here in the first few games for Trent Dilfer. And now Morris is continuing to do what he does on 2nd and inches, and he's going to pick up the first down, as we couldn't quite get it on that Dilfer pass, but we do get it with Sammy Morris's legs. On 1st and 10, now under a minute left to go in the first half, Dilfer going to throw for it again, and he finds an open target in the end zone, and that's something we've been looking for all season long, man. We've been looking for that connection here, specifically to Eric Moulds, finally getting the big man involved, and when you're paying that guy, or paying a guy like Eric Moulds as much money as you are, that dude needs to be getting as many touchdown passes as possible, something that Dilfer has been struggling to do, but we finally do get one here, and that's going to completely widen this lead here. I don't even know if the Colts have it in them to catch up at any rate. So, but we do finally get a little bit of action from the Colts offense here as their backup tight end, or I don't really know how you'd list it. They have 2 serviceable tight ends, but it's Ken Digler who manages to get that reception here. Marcus Pollard is listed as the Colts' top tight end in this game, but as you can see, Digler is the one on the field making things happen, man, shaking off those tiny defenders as he's got plenty of size to do so. And now the Colts are just outside the red zone, looking to maybe finally add some points before the half is over, which is 33 seconds left to go. Going to consider bringing a man in motion. They're going to snap it before, and Edgerrin James now shimmying and shaking on the ground here to get himself into some open space, and he's going to pick up a first down for the Colts offense. And now 1st and 10 now in the red zone firmly, and Billy Joe Hobart throws this one across the middle, and there, I believe, is Marcus Pollard on the ground, and he gets himself a first down. But now it's going to be 2nd and goal for the Colts offense, and they're going to try and hand this one off once again to Edgerrin James, and he's got plenty of open room. And finally, we see a little bit of action from all these Colts playmakers. Regardless of having Peyton Manning or not, you'd still think between Edgerrin James and the receiving corps, they'd be able to at least generate some kind of offense. But only 7 points in the first half as we are absolutely trouncing all over this Indy offense, man. And the pressure's on to Hobart very, very quickly, but he's able to get rid of it in time. Now in the second half, the Colts are leading things off on offense, and it's Marvin Harrison. So there we go. We're starting to see the Colts playmakers appear a little bit. And judging by the numbers early in the year, despite the quarterback turmoil, there has not been a whole lot of issues getting the ball to Harrison and the rookie Reggie Wayne. And now Edgerrin James, as you can see, is in the end zone once again, and he comes into this game also with over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging over 5 yards a carry. So he's also been pretty effective for the Colts despite the quarterback issues, but in this game it is just not translating. But the Colts are slowly but surely dragging themselves back into it, as now it looks like the Bills offense is taking off the second half here, as now the Colts are back within the red zone once again. Edgerrin James getting into open space once again, breaks off a tackle here, but gets the first down and is going to get himself another solid pickup. But that's how the third quarter comes to a close. The Colts now within 20 points. after adding a touchdown and our offense doing much of nothing in the third quarter. But on 3rd and goal here, going to try and keep James out of the end zone. He shakes off a defender and dives into the end zone and still manages to get the touchdown for the Colts offense. And man, look at this. This is solid defensive play here. That was completely well played by Henry Jones, our strong safety. He completely seized right up the middle, untouched, and still got on Edgerrin James, but just got shaken off. Man, just did not have the physicality to make the play. So, but Dilfer now on the run here. Pressure's in his face. He evades it, throws one on the run, and look at that, there's 4 Colts down there. How on earth did Eric Moulds make that catch, man? There's 4 Colts in the vicinity. How on earth did he come down with the football? I have zero idea how that even managed to happen. But now, with the Colts over 20 points here, there's a little bit of urgency from the Bills' offense. We're still in a good position, multiple possessions up here, but need to add some points to maybe really finally put this one away. And now we're going to get some action from the backup running backs now. How about that, man? We have a couple running backs that are useful here, and that's Bryson, the third-string running back. That's not even Travis Henry, the second-string. That was our third-string running back on that play here, but he couldn't get the first down. So we're going to go for a field goal, and Christie, of course, nails this one through, a 48-yarder. Good for him. And maybe the kicking sliders need to come down a little bit because these guys are just automatic now. They're just too good. But that's going to make it 37-21, and the Colts really need to get back into this ball game if at all possible. And Hobart finds an open target, and that is exactly what they need. They find Reggie Wayne for a huge pickup through the air, and there you can see the Colts are finally starting to climb their way back into this game statistically. And by the end of it, it might be a bit of a different story. But on 3rd and 10 now in the red zone, Hobart throws this one towards the end zone, and that one sails over Reggie Wayne's head out of the back of the end zone turf. And that's going to bring up a 4th down decision for this Colts offense. And, of course, Moore is going to keep the offense on the field because they're trying to get back into this game. And Hobart able to throw this one between 2 defenders or between 2 receivers. It looks like Reggie Wayne and maybe Diggler were in the vicinity, but that one just bounces off of them. And so that is going to be a turnover on downs. But much, much later on in the game here towards the very last few seconds of the game, the Colts work it back in to the red zone. And Hobart manages to find an open target. Now they're trying to run the hurry up before anyone is really set. Hobart running around here, throws one. Clock is at 000. That ball is tipped and caught in the end zone for a touchdown. So I just figured including this one because I thought it was interesting that the Colts were able to run the hurry up, get the first down, and get back to the line before anyone was really set or aware of what was happening. And then you also have the added wackiness of this ball being tipped and caught in the end zone. So just a weird play all around. Keith Newman was able to get a hand on the football, but Marvin Harrison still, able to track that football because he's, a GOAT. He's one of the GOATs, one of the best receivers, at least in Colts history. But either way, the Colts do add some points here. They try to go for 2. It doesn't really work out for them, and 37-27 is going to be the final score of this game in Indianapolis at the RCA Dome, and we grab our first win and in coaching history, I guess, at the helm of this Bills team, and things are looking good. If our offense can perform like this, and we saw a little bit of that potency in week number 1 against the Saints, we racked up a lot of points. If you remember, we scored 27 in that game, so it looks like this offense is definitely capable of racking up the points on opponents. But defense might be a little bit suspect as well. So because in both of those games that I mentioned that we scored a lot of points, against New Orleans and now here in Indianapolis, we also gave up a lot. We ended up giving up a lot. So in this game, we managed to bend and not break, but in the Saints game, we completely broke. So I wouldn't bet on that trend, staying consistent with the Colts results for the rest of the season, but there are things to extrapolate and take from these performances that I think are a little bit good, a little bit better than maybe we first thought heading into the season. I think, there might be a better outlook for this Bills team now if we can perform like we have in the Colts and Saints game, despite losing the Saints game. So, but that's going to take us now back home to Orchard Park in Buffalo, New York, to Ralph Wilson Stadium, where we will be hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now the Madden rankings are very, very harsh on the Steelers here. 64 overall offensive rating is completely disgusting. They must have some big holes on the offensive line or something because they have solid skill position players, man. They have some depth at a lot of areas on the roster. I mean, Plexico Burress isn't really getting the most love. I think he's a 70 overall in this game, which isn't all that great. They don't have a ton of depth at the receiving position, but And I think even Cordell Stewart's listed as like a 72 overall. So I guess the numbers are really not all that favorable for the Steelers in this game. But like I said, they were a 9-7 team last year. They did miss the playoffs, finishing third in the Central. But they were still a competitive team, and I would expect nothing less from this game either. I would expect them to be a very competitive team as well. But if the offensive performance that we just saw in Indianapolis can carry over back home now in front of a home crowd, then I think we will be in an all right spot. I think we could win a scoring match with the Steelers. I don't think either defense is really probably going to be the thing to watch. But if the Steelers defense can suffocate our offense, then it's a done deal. It's going to be a done deal. We will have no answer for this Pittsburgh team. So 1st and 10 now, Cordell Stewart leading the boys here already across midfield here. He's going to fire one down the middle of the field, and it's going to be Brenner here, Mark Brenner, the tight end, who gave us so many fits, so many fits in my Bengals series, and here he is already making things happen early in this game. He's going to be the first Steeler I'm going to call his name out to as he gets this pass right down the middle of the field. Just throwing off Jones as safety just easily, just throwing him off completely, and it's going to be a first down for the Steelers now, well inside the red zone, inside the 10 now, 2nd and goal. Cordell Stewart floats one to the corner of the end zone with 2 Bills defenders. Somehow it's Hines Ward who's going to come down with it, man, and that's another great playmaker for the Steelers offense that we got to be careful about, as Cordell Stewart wastes no time connecting with his top man to take a 7-0 lead over this Bills team. But we are now on offense in a scoring range, and Remersma is going to get this catch along the line to gain here. He's going to get tackled right about on it, but I think the positioning of the ball, it's going to give us the first down. So on 1st and 10 here, Dilfer back to pass once again, fires this one off once again to an open target. To now Peerless Price along the sidelines, and Peerless Price able to shake off the defender, but he was heading out of bounds, so couldn't do much more with that play, but still a nice pickup that we will happily take, and that is how the first quarter is going to end, as the Steelers are also looking for their first win of the season. Had an early bye, so kind of a rough one to have your bye in the first 3 weeks of the season, but being 0-2, they clearly needed it. So, but Dilfer tries to hit Travis Henry, our backup running back, out of the flat here on like a wheel route, but that one was well covered, and that one's going to be picked off. So the Steelers don't do anything with it, though. We get it back heading the other way, and now let's get back to the normalcy here. Let's get Sammy Morris back on the ground running the football, because that's what works, and he's going to get all upside the sidelines here, run down the sideline, getting on that outside edge, and he's going to get into the end zone for the first Bills touchdown of the day. So we finally do manage to match up with the Steelers at the end of the first half. Not a lot of scoring going on, and I did mention at the beginning of this game that if the Steelers' defense was going to be an issue, then we would have a hard time competing with the Steelers. But it looks like our defense has tightened up after the Colts game as well, so we might have ourselves a bit of a defensive matchup. But Mark Brenner still causing us issues through the air, once again, just because that's what he does to me. And on 3rd and 11 now, Cordell Stewart takes a high snap, nearly gets sacked, but gets rid of it in time, and I have no idea how that was played so poorly defensively, man. How do you let that happen? That was so bad, as Troy Edwards is able to just rely on the speed, I guess, to get away from our defenders and get a first down. That play should have been done well before the line to game, but now it essentially ends up in a touchdown. Plexico Burris gets a catch from Cordell Stewart, and that is going to be another Steelers touchdown. They're going to take a 14-7 point lead now at the end of the third quarter on a drive that really should not have ended the way that it did. Just kind of some miscues on defense. That's going to give up some free points. And now late in the fourth quarter, really in the middle of the fourth quarter, the Steelers finally work across midfield again. An amazing one-handed grab from Hines Ward, and that's exactly why he is who he is, man, because he does what he does. And Hines Ward with a huge, massive reception is going to give the Steelers a huge boost inside the red zone. But on 3rd and 6, they're going to hand it on the ground, and that's not Jerome Bettis. And Jerome Bettis, interestingly enough, only has 97 yards on it this season thus far entering into this game. He has really not done a whole lot for the Steelers so far on the ground. But here he is now, spinning and getting into open space, getting a first down and getting a touchdown. So, of course, I had to run my big, stupid, fat mouth, and now there's Jerome Bettis making me pay for it as he gets his first touchdown of the season. Not just of the game, but of the season. And the Steelers now have completely kind of opened this one a little bit more, but we are trying to stay into this game. Under 2 minutes, Dilfer on 3rd and 14, running out of options. Pressure's in his face. He gets rid of it in time, but that pass is going to go absolutely nowhere. That's not going to help us at all And now we're going to have to make a bit of a difficult decision on 4th and 10. It's desperation time. Minute 30 left to go in the game. Dilfer running for his life, and he sails this one into the turf, and that one's going to go absolutely nowhere. We turn it over on downs, and the Steelers' defense, as I feared, has smothered this Bills' offensive attack. And Dilfer, who had such a great game after the Colts game, really gave us a lot of hope for the rest of the season. It looks to be laying a complete duck in this game. But the Steelers now trying to run out some clock. We managed to stop them on 3rd down, but because of the turnover on downs, we gave them great field position, so regardless, they're going to be able to kick a field goal and really just put this game away, which they do. So that's going to make the score 24-7. Our offense really just had no answer for the Steelers, especially in the second half, but just to add injury to insult, that ball's going to get intercepted. It gets tipped and intercepted, and the Steelers are going to ice the game that way, and that is our second turnover of the game. So, as remember, Dilfer had the early interception in this game. That was a scoring opportunity, which could have made this game close, maybe changed up the whole game, how it was going to be played. I don't know. I'm not going to look into it, but we just need to play better on offense regardless. So we fall to 1-3. The Steelers pick up their first win on the season. Not a super impressive game, especially for us here. 1 for 6 on 3rd down, at less than 200 yards of offense. Really, really bad game. Probably our worst performance, just period. I mean, the Dolphins game was pretty similar to this, but it seems to be that we were just bouncing and yo-yoing back and forth between those two versions of this Bills team. The one that cannot overcome a little bit of defensive pressure, and the ones that can just score at will. So I don't know what kind of Bills to expect on a week-to-week basis. I know for you guys it's got to be pretty frustrating too, just to see this team lack any sort of consistency. And Dilfer gets his completion percentage up pretty high, but less than 100 yards and 2 picks. So this is an awful game for Trent Dilfer. We are really just kind of getting just complete tale of two sides with Trent Dilfer, man. I'm not really sure what to expect now. After the Colts game, I was feeling pretty optimistic, but now I really don't know what on earth we are looking at moving forward. And this is another tough game, man, against a Jets team, which has a lot of things to like about it and was really good last season. So, I don't know. I won't guarantee much anything going forward, but it is a home game, and this is a divisional game. So we should win this, or not should win, but we need to win it. We definitely need to win. We need to win as much as possible. So hope to see you guys back in the next video when we play the Jets in our next couple of games.